Okay folks, here we are back in the garage. It's the middle of winter. We just had a couple of days of snow here in Texas, so now that it's a little sunnier outside, I figured I'd come and do some work. The garage isn't below freezing, but you can hear snow melting and dripping off in the background. But anyway, today I thought it would be a good opportunity to swap out the exhaust on Dawn's track bike. This is her Ninja 300 2015 model. She only rode it a couple of times this year. My nephew rode it once on a kart track, and I rode it a couple of times while I was coaching some other students on 300s. But the biggest problem it's had is this horrible boat anchor off the side. It's really heavy and it's really quiet. It's really difficult to hear this thing. Some people on the side of the track thought that I was idling or running with the engine off because it was so quiet. So while I was browsing on Amazon for some other stuff, I came across this. This is just a generic slash-cut exhaust that happens to be compatible with this bike. I've already fitted the accessories. $56. It's much lighter, very solid construction, not much in the way of sound muffling. So I figured, why not put it on? So I just threw it in the checkout just on a bit of a whim. So what we'll do is we'll have to make up a new mount, and I figured this might be a good example of how to do some basic fabrication, because this piece of aluminium just came from the hardware store. I was actually using it to make some mirror brackets for this Ducati. As you can see there, I've welded them in. It's a lot shorter than it was because I was practicing my TIG welding. As you can see there, that's where it started. Got better. A little more here, a little too hot here, but that material is this. So once I knew where the heat settings were, I was all set, and I also welded a broken lever back together. So that's the joys of TIG welding. Anyway, with enough of this bar stock left over, we won't be able to do this, but we will put something together. This is the bracket that it came with, but this is a custom bracket made by the previous owner after a little bit of crash damage. So I thought it might be interesting to do a before and after sound comparison. So let's do this. If you're on headphones, just caution, it's going to get a little, well, it's not going to get very loud. And for the what's the word? The anthropomorphists out there, don't worry, I did already warm up the engine. Okay, so let's do this. Let's pull off that little bracket and just test fit the new one. That's a 12. pretty easy, but as you noticed, I did prepare it ahead of time. Oh, I should... Okay, that is really heavy. That's... Whew. How much would that be? That's 2 kilos, maybe 4 or 5 pounds. I don't know. Ugh. And this is maybe a quarter or less of that weight. Okay, let's do this. Let's just mount it on a little tighter, just as a test fit, test run. Okay, and alright, again, watch out for your sound settings. It's noticeably louder. Actually, you know what? Let's do a little experiment and try it with no muffler at all and see the difference. I don't know if you can hear that through YouTube, but that's quite remarkable how much sound reduction this piece actually does. Because with no muffler on at all, it kind of hurts the ears, but with this on, it doesn't hurt your ears, it's just loud. Okay, that'll probably need some fine-tuning. Okay, so what we're going to do now is just a very basic little bracket. It's not going to line up in that direction, so as is often the case with, my Aprilia is a perfect example, but what we're going to do is we're going to drill a hole here, have it come down to about there, and we'll bend it out, and then we'll measure it to here, find out where we need to bend it, and then we'll bend it this way so it's parallel to this piece here. Drill a hole, trim the edges, and that's it. So the key issue here is you don't have to have exactly everything custom pre-made to fit. It's not impossible to custom make and fabricate your own components with nothing more than a, I don't know, $4 or $5 piece of aluminum or aluminium and a vise with some soft jaws. So this piece wants to come out this way. We don't know exactly how much, but we're just going to have to try it. Oops. Now the key thing to remember with aluminium is it doesn't like to be bent multiple times. Once it's been bent, that's where it's going to stay. Well, look at that. That was almost exactly the right angle on the first attempt. Okay, so this is a very heavy-duty exhaust. We don't need precision levels of support here. We just need it to not dangle, because of course when this dangles it's going to put pressure on the mounts on the cylinder and they're going to crack over time and then break. This will prevent that. Okay, so that's good. So we're going to put it there like that. And you know what, even if it isn't quite right the first time, then we can do it again later. So what I'll do, just to make it easier, is I'll cut it right there and I'll bend it about there. So it only takes very simple hand tools to do this. Nothing too sophisticated required. We've got an angle grinder. Is not the best tool for this. Aluminium tends to gum up the wheel, but it still works. And basic drills and some nuts and bolts. Let's see. I don't like to make lots of metal chips this close to other pieces being worked on, but this will be quick. So let's see. I'll get my earplugs. And you should prepare to turn off or turn down your sound right now too while I cut this. Okay, earplugs in place. Ooh, I can't do this with my camera on. So we're going to have to pause and come back in just a second. Okay, that was quick. I didn't necessarily have to cut all the way through it. I ended up just scoring it and then bending it, and it snapped really quickly, really easily. Okay, so we've got it coming down here like this, and we need to bend this like that. So we'll put it in here. We'll try to make sure it's close to vertical. And we're going to push it. And now, theoretically, if this is vertical here, this should be vertical there, and it looks pretty good. Again, this is the first version, first iteration, so yeah, let's see how it goes. There we go. Well, what do you know? That looks pretty damn good. The question is, would we want to make a two-piece bracket? We can do this like that there and do another one from there, but no, I don't think so. I think in this case just the one will be sufficient. So it's, what I might do is I might cut a little bit off there. So I'll cut that there. And that will put this one, I think, in about exactly the right position. Okay. Now, the bolt we have, this one was in the bottom. This one came with the new muffler. We don't need either one to be as long, but we do need this hole here to be that size. Interesting. What should we do? We don't want a shoulder bolt because that won't clamp the bracket. That'll have the bracket wiggling around, so we can't use this bolt. But that's the thread, so we'll get another bolt that's this diameter, this thread pitch for the top and the same for the bottom. It's always better to use fasteners with the same Allen heads. Okay, alright, so we'll cut that, and I might just round this off as well, and then we'll drill 2 holes and mount it up and we'll be done. So I need to turn off the camera so I can put my protective glasses on again while I'm cutting, And I might also drill the holes while I'm at it, so we will be back in just a moment. Okay folks, here we are. I just used my little center punch to punch a hole. I rounded off the edges just for the heck of it, and I actually held it up against the pipe, punched it again, drilled this hole, deburred it on both front and back, and that's the tool I used to round it off on. Very noisy, not good for a video. And I also found some replacement bolts. That's the only one I could find quickly and easily. Yes, it doesn't have the same Allen head, but oh well. For now, it'll work. Okay. Alright, loose. Whew, it's so cold in here, my hands are freezing. Ah, yes, I also need to mount this. So this has to be mounted there like that. So that'll be another hole required. That should be pretty simple. But yeah, it's just a hose. It doesn't matter if it's at an angle. But that'll be for later. Okay, so let's get a washer on here. And then it's a nice tight fit on those holes, so that way nothing's rattling around. This one might actually be too short, because this is a nylock nut. You have to make sure that it engages the nylon, otherwise there's no point in having it. Look at how perfect that angle was. Just lucky. Okay, now will it be long enough? Oh, that is absolutely perfect. That's a 12, yep. Yeah, when you're fabricating stuff, doesn't always work out that lucky with those angles, but every now and again. There it is. Ah, these things are getting worn out. And we'll tighten that upper one. Okay. Well, look at that. We've just got to drill one hole here, but the majority of the work is done. Well, it's tight. The majority of the work is complete. So we got the exhaust we wanted. It didn't have a bracket that we could use, but with a $5 piece of aluminium from the hardware store, a little bit of measuring, a little bit of cutting, a little bit of drilling, we got it to work just fine. So we'll put this right about there, and we want it close to the edge there. Okay, so I won't bore everybody with the details of drilling that hole. Now, yeah, okay, so we've got a little bit of movement here, but that's going to happen no matter what because of this adapter. Because yeah, this thing can be used on 600s and 750s, and I'm sure other models as well. They've just got a little adapter to go from the narrow gauge to a thicker, and that's the only place that's flexing. But the key issue is that it's supported vertically and all the angles measure up. Okay, just goes to show this came with it. We don't need it, and just because it doesn't fit doesn't mean we can't make it fit. So yeah, easy. Thanks for watching.